Seaweed. Where to begin? First, to understand seaweed as a commodity, its production methods, and the industry, we wanted to make sure that when we said seaweed, we knew what we were talking about. Until we discovered that there are over 10,500 types of seaweed. Most of all are edible, some of which are more palatable than others. We also discovered that the industry is larger in scale than we had anticipated, reaching $7 billion annually. And in this global seaweed industry, historically and currently, it is the byproducts of seaweed that have made it such a versatile resource and contribute to the growth of this market. The demand for seaweed in the U.S. didn't begin with sushi and snack food as we see it now in our restaurants and grocery stores. The San Diego Union Tribune tributes seaweed with providing jobs for hundreds of Californians and helping us win World War I. In the early 1900s, Hercules Powder Company began processing kelp to extract potash, a key ingredient for gunpowder. By 1916, the company harvested 500 wet tons of kelp every 24 hours. Through this processing, it was discovered that kelp could be liquidized, powdered, and processed for a large range of uses and products. This learning applied not only to kelp, but other forms of seaweed as well. This factor of versatility led to large-scale cultivation, harvesting, and processing worldwide during the 1970s. Cultivation began in Indonesia and the Philippines in the 1970s, and then spread to Tanzania, Vietnam, and other Pacific islands. Around the same time, California harvested over 170,000 tons of kelp off the San Diego coast. At this time, this California kelp industry was worth $40 million. Today, seaweed is cultivated worldwide, with a large proportion of production occurring in the Philippines, Japan, China, and the Republic of Korea. Currently, China is the leading producer of edible seaweeds with an annual harvest of 5 million wet tons. This type of cultivation utilizes a combination of large tracts of ocean farming, giant ships equipped with mower blades, and vacuum devices. To this day, a lot of seaweed harvesting is still done by hand. This process usually involves boating out to seaweed fields in flat-bottom boats, cutting the seaweed with knives, and using a pitchfork to move the cut seaweed into the hull of the boat. This process is labor-intensive and doesn't produce an abundance of seaweed like the mechanical processes. Because only the top section is harvested, the seaweed is able to regenerate and be harvested again in a relatively short period of time. The mass production is so significant because of the increasing demand of seaweed derivatives in both food and non-food items worldwide. The three species of seaweed most commonly consumed are kelp, Irish moss, and nori. Fresh, dried seaweed has been a staple in Japanese and other Asian cuisines for over 2,000 years. Seaweed is extensively used in soups, salads, seasoning, and daily Japanese cooking. While seaweed is not used daily in traditional American cooking, it is likely consumed daily by a typical American diner. Agar and carrageenan, derivatives of kelp, Irish moss, and other seaweed, permeate both food and non-food items we consume daily. Why might this be? Well, agar and carrageenan are thickening agents. They bind ingredients, smooth out textures, and stabilize mixtures. For making jellies and jams, this is great. Compared with pectin, agar has the advantage of not needing high sugar concentrations to form a gel-like consistency. Ingredient Solutions, the leading carrageenan supplier in the United States, describes their fluid dairy product line as an economical blend of carrageenan types which combines maximum performance and economy for a variety of stabilizer applications such as chocolate milk, frozen desserts, and culture products. Carrageenan and agar benefit the processed food industry far beyond confectionery treats. The meat industry benefits from carrageenan in a similar way. The bonding agents of carrageenan enable products like sausage and deli meats to be made with less fats, yet have a similar consistency. The industry language for the benefits of carrageenan are as follows. Very cost-effective yield improvement system for case-ready tray pack raw poultry and red meat products. Best results are obtained through injection. Reduces cook loss and improves freeze-thaw stability. It is not just food companies that use these properties of seaweed. Seaweed derivatives are found in products from lotion to toothpaste, pet food to various plastics. In 1966, Time magazine predicted by the year 2000, huge fields of kelp and other kinds of seaweed will be tended by undersea farmers, and that the seaweed would be regenerated chemically to taste like anything from steak to bourbon. The prediction isn't that far from the truth. While Asian cuisine and health food are dominant cultural associations with seaweed, and processed seaweed is the silent dominant product of the industry, there is also a seaweed culture that is akin to the local sustainable food movement. At the herb store Dandelion Organics in Seattle, you can purchase dried kelp harvested off the coasts of Oregon and Washington. In Maine, a company called Oceans Approved is committed to the sustainable harvest of this vital ocean resource and look forward to providing only cultivated kelp and seaweeds in the future. When we interviewed Jennifer Adler, a local Seattle nutritionist, she called seaweed a superfood, as it actually far exceeds our vegetable needs. Even compared with our most nutritious land vegetables like kale, kale is going to look like iceberg lettuce in comparison. Seaweed has 10 to 20 times the amount of minerals that are actually found in any of our land vegetables.
As a maritime region, the Puget Sound has various opportunities to find, forage, and taste seaweed. Check out these resources for information, seaweed kayaking and harvesting adventures, and consumable products.